pal. Welcome back to the Venus Report. I'm Kate.
And I'm Liz, and this is Astrology Unhinged.
So this week we are talking about Venus retrograde through the signs and the North Node shift, in the North and South Node shift into Aries and Libra. Super big astrology happening this week. There's also an opposition of Mars and Saturn happening like literally tomorrow. We may talk about that as well. But first off, Venus retrograde. This will happen for 40 days, starting on July 22nd, which if you're listening when we record this, it's probably already happened, until September 3rd. So the Venus retrograde is a 40-day journey through the underworld of what brings us pleasure, love, what we value. Really, really Venusian topics, right? And in Leo, which is a fixed fire sign. So we're getting this moment to reflect for 40 days. So we're going to talk about what that means for each and every one of you by rising sign. So before we get into it, make sure you know your rising sign to get the most out of this. But let's first go ahead. Anything you want to say?
I was going to say, in the description, if you are like totally newbie to this, totally newbie to astrology, I am going to, from now on, include in the description of the episodes a link to astro.com, which is the tool that we use to pull up birth charts. And basically, you just need to know your time of birth, your place of birth, the date, and that's it, right? Just those three things to get the most accurate. It's okay if you don't know the time, but that link will be in the description if you don't know how to pull up your birth chart.
Yeah. So let's talk about the node shift. So the North Node is like one of my favorite places in the sky. We actually share, me and Liz share the North Node in the 12th house. We don't have the same sign of the North Node, but where it is for us is very, is similar, is the same. So we have it in the 12th house, which is like, we love this energy of like solitude and working in the quietude of our own space in order to expand. And you can maybe like riff on that too. But the North Node, how I interpret it, is the north part of the node. There's always a north and a south. The North Node is oftentimes called the head of the dragon. And it's kind of like the wheel. Say you have like a wheel of your life and your life is moving toward the target point, which last week we talked about is the MC, like your target point in this life. The wheel and like the constant things that you do to get that wheel going and grease the wheel is the North Node, like the actions that you take to continue to move your life in that direction of dharma and of service and of purpose. So the shifting of the nodes, I felt really deeply. This happened on July 17th, and the nodes are shifting from Scorpio Taurus to Aries Libra, which is Aries is like the beginning of the zodiac. There's a huge cardinal energy, and the nodes will be there until January 11th, 2025. And when you think of nodes, you think of eclipses, because eclipses happen on the node points. So we will have one last eclipse on the Taurus-Scorpio axis, which we had for the past couple of years. This will happen on October 28th, which is actually my birthday, 2023. Last one. So like wrapping up that last like intensity of Scorpio Taurus and moving into Aries Libra. There's a huge focus. I think this is how I interpret it, and you can tell me how you interpret it. There's a focus on individual self, how you show up in relationship to other. Libra is the other, Aries is the self. There's a huge shift there. I can feel it on so many levels. There's a shift in like focusing on the self and showing up without codependency in relationships.
Yes, and relationships in general, I feel like there's like this new I can feel this newfound method. Like it's almost like a newfound method of how people are relating to relationships, because like before we're in Taurus and Scorpio, which is like very much, I just see that as very like tough work. It's like work, like kind of inner work. I would say Scorpio is obviously on the second half of the year, which symbolizes to me that it's a bit of more of an outward sign, but I feel like that's very inward to me. Taurus Scorpio axis is like the inward work to then have see the beauty of life. And now we're on the axis of like self-actualizing and how you self-actualize in relationships and in the world. So I feel like there's, like I said, just this new method around how people might go about that, and it's specific for everyone because I feel like the nodes really do show up with the houses specifically. Like, obviously, the planets express themselves through the houses as well, but the nodes, for some reason, I feel like are very, very prevalent with the house systems and like the themes in the houses. So.
Oh, that's really interesting. I do feel like that too with my chart. Like when I see someone's chart and they have the North Node in a certain house, for some reason having the node, I almost focus on the house more than the sign with the nodes.
Me too. Me too.
Because
I think, yeah.
it tells you like in what area of your life you're taking those actions to get your life on the road of dharma and purpose and flow.
Exactly.
And like universal flow. So like for me and you, for example, if we've got the North Node in the 12th house, that really speaks to like subconscious processing and like looking into the depths of our subconscious and how we're all connected as one, which is like Pisces energy, 12th house.
Yeah.
You know, and like I can just see it so many ways in my life.
Me too.
But something else I want to say is the nodes are shifting into cardinal energy. Well, the North Node is, and Libra is also cardinal. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Libra
yes,
and Aries.
so it's always every axis is the same modality. So cardinal energy is like the spark and the initiatory energy. It gets things moving, whereas before Scorpio, Taurus are fixed. So when the nodes were in fixed energy, it felt like things were stuck. And like things were stuck for the last like 2 or so years in that part of your chart. And now in the Aries Libra part of your chart, there's going to be some activation, some big movement happening until 2025.
Yes.
I'm excited. It feels so refreshing.
I am too. Yep. I love the Aries Libra axis, and I'm also cardinal sun and moon, so I feel like this is very like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So let's get into Venus retrograde through the signs.
Yes.
Great. So we did half and half. So I'm going to talk about Aries through Virgo Rising, your Venus retrograde experience. And then we can shift into the other half.
Yes.
So I also pulled some cards for each sign. So that is a little bit of what my interpretation looks like this week, and I think I want to continue to add that in. So I pulled some tarot as well. So Aries Rising. If you're an Aries Rising, you've got Venus retrograding through your 5th house. And this is classic, right? Venus in the 5th house in Leo. Leo rules the 5th house. So like Leo, you have Leo ruling its home in the 5th house. And in this, for this experience, Leo is like the kingdom. There's like this ruler of the kingdom energy. And because it's fixed fire, this Venus retrograde is going to be for everybody. But for Aries Rising, like you sitting on the throne of your passion and of your play and how you experience pleasure. And you're just, it's almost like you're sitting back and you're looking at, okay, what needs to be balanced? I pulled the temperance card for Aries Rising on this one. So balance.
Oh my God. And can I just say Libra is ruled by the temperance card?
Yep. And
right across
temperance,
from you.
The temperance card is also associated with fire. The triangle on the shirt. So for Aries Rising, this moment is very much like sitting and meditating on your throne and tempering the fire of like how you experience pleasure, play. This could be reflecting on whether or not you want to have kids this 40 days could be like a really clarifying moment towards the end, the beginning of September, of, okay, do I want children? How do I relate to children in my life? The fifth house rules children. You may find that you're reflecting or taking space from like how you appreciate beauty. What does beauty really like look like and feel like to you? How do you appreciate it? And how you revel in pleasure, because you revel in pleasure, and Venus in your fifth house is like loving this, and there's maybe like an overindulgence, or there just may be like, okay, I'm gonna like tone it down. I'm gonna add some other elements, because it can be very fiery. You're an Aries rising. You've already got this fire. So there's a lot of fire and passion happening. And I think tempering the fire, bringing it more into balance, adding some water energy. If you go swimming, if you like hydrate your actual body, if you move in a more fluid way, if you like work out really hard and it's always really fiery, try building in some fluid movement like yoga or dance to this reflection period. And I promise like some sort of energetic download will come to you on how you can relate to pleasure moving forward. That will be supportive for you. Yeah.
Cool.
That feels pretty
I
good.
really like that. And I really like the idea of balancing out the fire, because that's like Aries, Leo, and just Venus in general. Venus is in her joy here. So I do feel like this person, Aries risings, could experience just like the fun times of like fiery passion now, in creative pursuits, but also things that feel like bold to you, things that feel like they're emphasized and like almost like soul giving, because it is such a Leo. I mean, you as an Aries rising, you have all of the houses as the ruler of the sign that it's in already. So, yeah, I think what you said was really accurate.
I think Aries risings are so intriguing to me. So if you are watching this, comment down below if you're an Aries rising. I'm like so curious how you experience,
I'm
because
curious
all the
about you
houses
too.
line up with their rulers. So like,
Do you just
I
feel
don't. How does that
totally
show up?
balanced at all times?
Yeah, are you always so balanced? Like, what's going
Yeah,
on? Okay,
exactly.
Taurus rising. Taurus rising. I love Taurus rising. So you're ruled by Venus. So as Venus goes retrograde, you're going to feel this. You're going to feel this on a deep level. There's going to be a sense of reflection, a sense of sitting back on the throne of your experience in the fixed fire energy of Leo, and saying like, all right, this is my time to like get settled. And you don't need to necessarily make any big decisions. This is for everybody. Not making any big decisions at this time regarding relationships, money, what like your values, maybe your possessions for Taurus rising. Like, you don't need to make any big decisions. Let these next 40 days until September 3rd, if you can, like lay low and just be in your own Venusian body and experience. So for Taurus rising, I pulled the Devil card. This really stood out to me as how is your emotional and home life? Because Venus is retrograding through your fourth house, which rules Cancer. How is your like emotional and home life contributing to or playing a part in your movement forward in the world towards your Dharma purpose flow, or not? How is your environment surrounding you maybe creating some stagnancy, or maybe there's a sense of like, oh, I want to rearrange my environment during this time, right? Fourth house, it's like our home and our
Yeah.
family. And Cancer is like we're in Cancer season. So with Taurus, like take note of what's going on in your environment, in your immediate surroundings, and make it beautiful. Or if you're like looking at things like, oh, that doesn't quite fit in my environment, like I don't like to look around and see that thing because it doesn't bring me joy, so like throw it away, like cleanse it, like throw some things away, simplify. Yeah, almost like with the Devil card, you're breaking free of the chains that that you can experience as a fixed sign, as a Taurus rising, right? What is like holding you back? Maybe there's patterns, maybe there's like habits or behaviors that you're kind of like loosely attached to, but you know you can kind of step out of them. And that's the devil card too, is like they're loosely chained and you think you're stuck when in reality, like it's your own making.
Mm-hmm. I was
So
just gonna say
let,
that.
yeah,
Habits.
like let your environment be a source of expansion. Addictions came up for me, like reflecting on maybe any addictive behavioral patterns and self-created limitations. That's key. Self-created limitations. It's not that you're limited, it's you've created that in your mind, right? Um, yeah, so you prefer a beautiful environment right now for Taurus risings. Let it happen for you and reflect on your own kingdom at home and how you can make it work for you, make it flow.
I really like that. You said everything I would have said, especially with the devil card. But yeah, like something with the home is being reconsidered, and it's like you said, self-infliction. Maybe it's a habit. So it's like something that is mainly maybe you're doing, but maybe it's subconscious and it's not really in front of you, but maybe you just have to dig deeper right now for during this Venus retrograde to then make your home that place of sanctuary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Gemini rising. Geminis, love Geminis. So Venus is retrograding through your third house right now until September 3rd. So what I really tuned into here is like you're re-patterning or tuning into like the patterns of your thought stream. You're noticing, like you're meditating on, how does my mind work and run? What are the patterns that exist? What things do I want to implant as new ideas? And with this Venus retrograde, I pulled the Ace of Cups, which is a water card. And it's like this overflowing moment of like winning, of like, oh, it's almost like you're stepping up your inner circle. You're like kind of the leader emotionally. You've got this like emotional intelligence and maturity right now that you can build up during this retrograde. You can like build up your reserves of emotional maturity surrounding your siblings, your home life, but more of like how like the places you move day to day, like going to work, driving, getting a coffee, like those like simple movements around your neighborhood, and the information that you take in, consume, and the information that you put out, you're gaining this like emotional maturity about like what you're
Mm-hmm.
passionate about. Leo is like that fixed fire, and you're really gaining some clarity on like what I'm passionate and like what that fire feels like in me, and how I present it outwardly, to others, to friends. And yeah, so this next 40 days is like a moment to reflect on how you can continue to master your emotional life, your inner world, and your thought stream. Like meditate
Mm-hmm.
on how can I create new thought patterns that really serve me. Connecting with your inner circle, friends, close family members, will be a great reflection and reserve building time, like building up
Mm-hmm.
that resilience. Something else that came to me is like leader energy, like leader of those groups, of your family groups and those close circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're finding a flow and you're sustaining that flow. There's like this energy of like moving, things are moving for Gemini risings right now.
Mm-hmm. And I really like the Ace of Cups for that because it feels like something is winning. Like you're winning at something in the emotional, mental realm, and
Hmm.
it's serving you really great. And maybe, or if it's not right now, then like the result of the Venus retrograde will serve that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love Gemini Risings having this happen in their third house. It's just so, it feels so at home. It feels
Yeah, it
very
does.
like they
Right.
know
It's
what they're
like
doing. They're just like, yeah.
yes, they're the masters of this
Yeah.
moment. Okay. Cancer rising. Cancer rising. Venus is retrograding through your second house right now, ruled by Taurus. And second house, it's your possessions, your values. Venus likes to be here in the second house, Taurian energy. And I feel like Cancer risings are gathering ideas, gathering maybe make it, it could be things. I pulled actually the Ace of Wands and the Ten of Wands for this. They just popped right out. So like the Ten of Wands is like gathering all these things that have brought you inspiration, passion, have served you. And the Ace of Wands is like, okay, I'm gathering all these things and then I'm like coming forward with one simple value, possession, or thing, like person, place, or thing that is propelling me forward in like how I really experience my values in this lifetime. Like how am I creating a life where I can live by my what my real values are? Like what are my real true tried and true value sets or systems? And it could feel like all of this is like heavy because of the second house and it ruling like money and like the things in the material world. Like there's a sense of maybe it feeling heavy. And Leo is fixed fire too. So there's this like wand energy, like fire of like, okay, there's these like solid ideas and I have these solid passions. And how am I going to move forward with them? So for the next 40 days, you're seeing like what simplicity looks like for you come into form. What does simplicity really look like? To gather the things, to maybe let go of things that you don't need anymore, like a book that you've read many times, or you've just opened to a bunch of pages and you feel like you've gained the knowledge from it, like letting that go and like freeing up that new energy in order to do something new with that information. That's what I'm feeling for this is like trusting that you have the info and you have the strength and the smarts and the intellect to simplify your life and not to like hoard the things that make you feel smart, worthy, fun, whatever those things are, and trusting that you're like your own body is the source and that you can like tap into all this universal energy and continue to live with flow. Like I think this will become more clear to you over the next 40 days. How you've been wanting to simplify your life. And I think this is a tool for momentum in your life. So don't ignore this moment for these cancer risings. Whatever that seemingly like, yeah.
This feels very like hard work has been done and there's a new beginning that's wanting to come in almost like through the action that you've been taking. And it's almost just like the gathering of whether that was like just the experience or the knowledge from this hard work. There's now, it just feels like there's something new that is reflective of what you really value and what you really find attractive coming. It's now coming. But it, like I can't say, it kind of feels like the Venus retrograde will be the realization of this and then it will come, or this retrograde will give it to you because maybe something was forgotten and now it's coming.
Yeah. Like, and the last thing I'll say about the Cancer rising is that whatever like this seemingly small idea is, but it keeps coming back to you, like don't ignore it and water it, plant it in the soil, put it in a new environment. That's like what second house is like, Taurian. It's like the seed, the germination of the seed. So plant this idea, water it, continue to tend to it, and let it grow. Like give it time, give it space, give it what it needs to grow. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. This feels very like promising and like something is new and it's coming and it's fire. So it will probably be quick.
Yeah. It feels like an action or an idea. Okay.
Absolutely.
Leo rising. So for Leo rising, Venus is retrograding for your through your first house, the most like felt, I think, house on so many levels. And this is a moment to like reflect on your accomplishments, on what you have done as an individual and how you've individualized and actualized your potential and who you're growing up into and who you naturally just are. I feel like with the rising sign, and we're talking about Leo risings right now, with the first house sign is like your rising sign is who you already are, but it's also like who you're becoming, because we are all becoming just more of ourselves all the time. So with your rising sign, you're becoming a Leo rising. You're becoming this energy, this full exaltation of your rising sign. And because we forget through conditioning and through all the societal pressure and messaging, we forget who we are. So for Leo risings, this is really a moment of like sitting back on your throne of like, how have I become more of myself in the past, whatever, how long you've been alive. And this next 40 days is like, there's a sense of like recognition. So I pulled the Six of Wands here. So the Six of Wands is this image of this person riding on a horse, holding one wand, and there's up to 5 other wands below. And it's like this recognition, celebration moment, walking through on the horse and like feeling proud and accomplished, and people are recognizing you for what you've done. So this moment is like, people may be giving you praise on energetic levels, maybe on other levels, or thanking you. So be ready to accept that. Or maybe after this retrograde, you're going to feel like you are well deserved of this recognition that you were receiving. And it could be just somebody saying, hey, like, you've really helped me, or this has been an amazing job that you've done on this, whatever. There's like this celebratory energy. And I think this one was like really excited. Like I pulled this and I was like, wow, this feels exciting for Leo risings.
That's literally
in this particular
the card
moment.
of that.
Yeah, it's like
And
excitement. Yeah, and like you're being prepped to be placed in a new environment. That's another hit I got, was like, let's go. You're being prepped to being put in a new environment that serves you better.
and yeah, this feels like, yes, it literally could be that you are being recognized for something. I also feel like something about this Venus retrograde will allow you to literally know yourself better. And then at the end of it, you kind of feel like just very like well-rounded. Like I'm envisioning you said the Six of Wands with him on the horse. And yes, it feels like you know yourself really well after this. There's something that happens where like there's like a recalibration of like your own identity, and then you come out on top and you're like, this is who I am. And it's just such a Leo rising moment. Like that is the most Leo rising it could get. So that feels really good.
Yeah, I love it. Okay,
And
Virgo.
wait, last thing.
Yeah.
Pluto being right across from you, obviously depending on, well, about to be right at 0 degrees Aquarius. I feel like there is a heavy moment here, but I feel like there's this like theme of transformation that is like really rewarding. There's something really rewarding from that, having Pluto right across from you during this time. So,
Yeah. I didn't even
yeah.
think of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Virgo rising. Goddess, my goddesses and gods. So Venus is retrograding for Virgo risings through your 12th house for the next 40 days until September 3rd. There's this energy here. Like, this was super strong when I pulled this. I pulled the Empress card. And the Empress card, like, is Virgo energy, and it's Venus also. It's like this earthly goddess. And what I really am getting through this is like, so Venus being in the 12th house in Leo is like deeply lovable, like very deeply cared for and cares for others in a really exuberant and bold way. Like, it may feel intense. And that's what this moment is like. You're reflecting on, like, what do you love so much in your life, or how do people care about you that feels like so deep that it almost like it's like aches, like it aches, or like it feels like this, oof, like this almost like big exhale moment of like, wow, I need to like sit with this. I love this person so much, or whatever, this like deep passion. Where is that lying? And like, where does it sit in your subconscious, right? The 12th house is all about the subconscious. This is also like passionate queen-like energy. So for the next 40 days, you're sitting on this Empress throne with like the cornfields beside you. You're seeing the harvest of all that you have accomplished and like how much you've grown. And with Leo or with Venus retrograding there, you're like, you're almost like composting something or letting go of something, undoing something here. Like, things are figured out on some sort of level in the subconscious mind or in the hidden parts of your deepest, the deepest part of your life. There's something that's being like wrapped up. And then during the retrograde, you're like, okay, I'm going to let go of this like pattern or this like relational pattern that I have, or, you know, my relationship with like sexual energy. Like, I feel like it's deep here. And also what I got was it's time to disperse the fruits that you've harvested. Right? The 12th house is like Pisces energy, so it's like dispersing throughout the universe. And Venus is like the things that you've gathered, the love that you've created, and you're dispersing that. Like, you're like, all right, I'm gonna like disperse it out, give people what they need, my family, my friends, my groups, like whatever it is, you're like dispersing the fruits that you've harvested. I almost think of like a dandelion and like blowing the dandelion and the seeds go elsewhere. So yeah, like reflect for the Virgo risings, like reflect on what's next for you in your life. Maybe it's like a new identity, like a new way of relating to yourself, and let it be deep. Like, Venus is like cleansing your subconscious of any doubt.
That's what I was just gonna say. Oh my God.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
like it feels like it's cleansing with that fire. It's burning away the doubt that you do not need to carry on
It
with.
feels really refreshing. Yeah.
It feels refreshing on such a deep level.
Yeah.
And it's letting you play like your dreams at this point for the next 40 days or so. Your dreams might be really intuitive and insightful. So you can play, like let yourself play in the subconscious realms. Somatic dreaming comes to mind, which is something I do in my work. And manifest right now. You can manifest. I think it's a powerful time for magnetizing things to you.
Yeah. Wow. I agree with that so much. That's really powerful. Cool. are
Cool.
we on? We are on to the second half
Yeah.
of the zodiac. Um, cool. So, Libra Rising. Um, this is this Venus retrograde is happening in your 11th house. And what I wrote down was that values or environment in the workplace is changing. I what came to mind was like a makeover, something with emphasis on detail, something that is either really attentive to detail or non-attentive to detail, but something around the themes of that. New friendships over the past month or so could experience misunderstanding, miscommunication with friendships that feel recalibrating to the relationship. So, something along the lines of like Venus being that is like the friendship, right? And something's going back, but also there's like this newness energy coming in. This whole, by the way, this whole Venus retrograde feels very like new moon to me. I don't know why. I know that we just had one, but I think maybe it's because it's Cancer new moon time right now, but like it feels very, like something new is coming in for like almost everybody, it feels like. Um, so yeah, like recalibrating a new relationship. Um, and the energy here is that it's right it's right before Pisces. Like we're right at the end of the Aquarius house. I mean, so like the 11th house is Aquarius, and then the 12th is Pisces, and Venus is exalted in Pisces specifically. But since we're right next to that house, it feels like the energy is like heating up because it's also Leo. So it also feels like I also feel like a rebellious nature here with like just general relationships, like having fun, enjoying this like social midsummer vibe right now. Um, and yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I get with Venus retrograde in the 11th house.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also say like friendships are under review for sure. Friendships that
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe don't allow you to be your full, exuberant, bold self. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and like how you relate to your friendships in general and your relationships, your networks at work. You may
Mm.
feel like, okay, maybe I'm like quitting jobs or like moving um, social
Mm-hmm.
circles or something like that. That's what that feels like for me for Libra rising. And also
Yeah.
Libra rising ruled by Venus. So you're feeling this on a deep level. And you
Mm-hmm.
may be like, all right, I'm going to just reflect on like, what are my friendships bringing me right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Um, I have a little bit of insight into also the North Node placement. Um, so it's just funny because a lot of there's certain rising signs that do have like certain themes with the Venus retrograde and the North Node. Kind of weird. This one's definitely one of them. The North Node in Aries is in your seventh house, so also relationships. So I just write relationships will experience new developments, literally what we were just saying. Something here about the path journey of others and how it's aligning with you personally. This obviously could show up in like a significant other's life because it's like totally in your view, right? Or it could just happen to somebody that's also close to you, but maybe not like in your immediate environment. Um, there's been a lot of work around relationships specifically in terms of how they've been challenging you to work through your self-image and self-development because Chiron is here. And we are the North Node and Chiron are actually getting closer, I believe. Or no. Yeah, they are getting closer because it's going back. So this might be a theme also, is like the challenge that comes with Chiron. Um, so there's also wanted to note mutual reception here with Aries in the seventh and Libra in the first because those are the houses that rule the opposite. Um, the North Node here is really urging you to work through the place relationships play in your life, where you are feeling the urge to place your efforts with maintaining them. So I feel like it's like, how do you want to relate to all relationships in general? Do you want to have more boundaries? Do you want to have just different altogether? Like, how do you want to be in front of your relationships? That's just a huge theme that I was catching on with Libra risings.
That's huge. I feel like with contracts too, with Libra risings, like jobs that aren't serving you anymore, time to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
contracts that
Mm-hmm.
you've signed, you're like, all right, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And that goes for like any commitment, any bond, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we are on to Scorpio rising, which is me. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very weird because I've been experiencing literally all of this. Um, so Venus retrograde in Leo is in the 10th house for Scorpio risings. This looks like to me progress on a project, idea, or path in your career is experiencing an overflow more than what you originally expected. I feel that, but I also was mainly thinking about the idea that Venus is at your mid sky right now. So it's like there's a lot of energy being shot there. It's also the summer solstice. It's summer right now. We're like not too much far past the summer solstice. So it's like still just that energy of like everything's in the eye, everything has light on it. So I'm seeing like rebrand, or there's a bold expression taking place in life where you are the soul or you're the main character. So like something that's like recalibrating in look, recalibrating in feel, aesthetic, with whatever that means when you are the like soul of the thing, right? So say you have this idea and you want to like engage in it. It's that. It's like you might be thinking right now how it could aesthetically look more accurate to what you're proposing, or something along the lines of beauty and aesthetic in that way. There's a reconsideration of values in the place of what you want your legacy to look like long term. This is very predominant for me right now, like, and it really does tie into what I just said about like rebrand, re-aesthetic, like redefining an aesthetic, to make it more accurate to how you want to be seen, like literally, because we are the most seen right now for Scorpio risings with Venus right on top of our charts. So yeah, that's Venus retrograde. I do
Mm.
have some notes for North Node, but what do you think?
I love that. That feels really good.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say about North Node.
Okay. So North Node in Aries is in the 6th house. So a place where the body, your health, how you take care of yourself will be the theme. The North Node here adds in attention to your health by seeing things through the lens of how they affect your well-being. So you may experience or experiment with solutions to find betterment in your health. Like I just see, and all of these North Node interpretations, I'm seeing like just a slight like leaning towards, not like we're going all in on this health thing, because the North Node is also a place that can feel a little bit uncomfortable to go into versus the South Node, which is what you feel almost like you know, like the back of your hand. So these
Mm-hmm.
are things, the North Node being placed in the 6th house is urging you to maybe have attention on these things. And it's just saying, hey, like this is more predominant right now. Maybe like focus in on it. So, yeah, I'm seeing like experimenting with different ways with your health. So like taking supplements if you feel like you're low in iron or whatever. Like experimenting with how you care for your well-being. The 6th house is also a place of physical labor, hard work. And I see this being a theme ahead. You might be like heading into a new like journey with even your work life, or just kind of like something along the lines of being stimulated in the sense of like vigor and body and just work in general. There's an emphasis here that I say to practicing spirituality. And I say that because that feels really easy for Scorpio risings right now, because South Node is in the 12th. Something that will feel comfortable and ritualistic. That's what I say for like, if you want to access your South Node right now to make your North Node more easily accessible also, I say balance it out and have moments of solitude and aloneness, and find like your who you are with yourself, and whether that's through meditation, journaling, all of that. This will allow for sustainability in the work that's to be done ahead. So,
Love it.
yeah, that was a hard one to like interpret, because I was like, this is so accurate. Like, I feel like I'm heading on a new journey, and yeah, so it's accurate, I feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Sagittarius Rising. So Venus retrograde in Leo is happening in your ninth house. With this, I see learning something new, right? There's this energy of newness in terms of like having new insight into a belief, right? So this I see as like challenging philosophies, kind of going backwards in the way that you've been learning or intaking information. This could all be around something that has to do with your values. So I see also like teachers becoming friends, mentors, new insights from friends, family, people that are like in your environment. This is like how this energy could come through. I just wrote new curriculum. Like there could like you could be in school right now, or like there's a way in which what you're doing right now with your learnings could be having something new being introduced, or something new going back to something with new lens. Beliefs are changing. I wrote beliefs changing due to the experience of others, accessed through empathy.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So, like, I was envisioning, I'm trying to think. I was envisioning, like, these relationships, something in them, whether it's a conversation or, like, a learning experience, it, like, changes your experience of others in general, because you now have this new sense of empathy, which, yeah.
That that feels really important. Relationships for the ninth house too, just because it's Venus, and like focusing on like what is the relationship with your teachers, people who teach you things. It doesn't even have to be the formal teacher archetype. Like a friend can be like almost like a teacher in a way of like how to be, how to live. And there's this like, yeah, this like reconsideration of like, oh, I have empathy for these people or in my life and how I learn things from them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a newfound, yeah, something that like sparks that empathy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for Sagittarius risings, the North Node in Aries is in the fifth house.
Ooh.
So yeah, I said kind of like a higher emphasis on being more bold and creative in your pursuits and how you express yourself. So there's like I said, just this slight leaning that's just kind of like, okay, be a little bit more bold. Go out there with that creativity and like
Yeah.
do something in terms of those pursuits. It's just that's an urge for you. Leaning into aspects of self that require more outward expression, more sharing and accessing your soul's baseline desires. So like to go out and about right now is an easy thing. So that's great. Like it's summertime. We're all trying to do similar things. But use this opportunity of being outward right now to like access your baseline soul and like your desire for things. Like where does it come from, the fact that you like to read books? Like what, where, why? And like how did that even come to be? Like look into, not only like look back on the things of that because it is like a retrograde thing to look back on it, but also live presently and see like if there's any new soul desires through these creative expressions and out and being just bold with yourself. Um, Following your own heart. This was a big one. Following your own heart rather than the heart of others and what feels fulfilling to a collective. So that to me came from the idea that the North Node and the South Node are obviously on the axes of Sagittarius, or sorry, the fifth house and the 11th house. So I was mainly saying collective energies is coming from the 11th house of Aquarius. But the fifth house really wants you to like access your heart. And it goes along with what I was just saying, like find your souls, like real, like the rootedness in your personality and your desires and things like that. Right now is a really good time to think about your own heart versus like the collective, because when you know your own heart, you can then be in the collective in a more authentic way. So that was a big one. I thought that would be a theme for sure the next year and a half. Um,
Love it.
yeah. Capricorn Rising. That's Kate right here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Venus retrograde in Leo is happening in the eighth house. Um, Here I see reconsiderations of commitments, accumulations, properties, and the things given to you by friends, family, relationships through fated encounters. So it's like this is so broad, but it's like, and it doesn't always have to do with material things. It could just be like kind of conceptual in ways. Um, but there's like a reconsideration on things that are fated and were given to you, or possessions in some way, shape, or form. And it could be also in another, in like you and another, like you're looking at the other, and that's what's going on. Um, Establishing a new form of income, a new way of accumulating money, because we are in the eighth house. Um, Something may come through in being owed back to you is another thing that I saw. This house represents money because it is right, it's on the axis of Taurus and Scorpio, and Taurus is all about like investing and people, and I have so many planets in the eighth house, and I still have just this hard time with it. I just don't know how it's showing up for me yet, but it is a place of, what would you say? Like I just always say fated encounters, things that are like owed to you through relationships and or things that you owe to somebody else, debts, I guess, like on personality, person to person. That's kind of how I see that.
I feel like, yeah, that feels really resonant. And as my experience as a Capricorn rising, and what I would say for, in general, all Capricorn risings, this moment is like the eighth house is like, it's death and it's also rebirth. And it's also your ability to transform within those energies, your ability to alchemize and transmute energy. So, like, whatever's being reviewed right now in regards to, it's more of like an emotional landscape. the eighth house. It's like it's
Yeah.
like how you relate. It's Scorpio. It's like how you relate on a deep level to others, the way that you exchange energy with others, and how that makes you feel in return. You are
Emotionally, yeah.
yeah, like you are reconsidering how it is that you live in your own emotional world in relation to others. Venus relationships, and also in relationship to money. New streams of income is something that I'm toying with right now, and it just happens to be bubbling up. Like it's just happening for me,
Yeah.
regardless of like whether or not I know that Venus is retrograding through eighth house. Is like new streams of income and a new way of like relating to how I make money and the ease in which I make money. And I think that is related to eighth house and like the ability to transform your own feelings of density. Like if making money for you feels like so dense and like hard, things that feel hard, I think are eighth house. And reconsidering bringing the Leo energy in there of like, how can this be fun and playful? And how can I rewire my whole system to be in the energy of playfulness and receiving? Because I
Yeah.
don't want things to feel hard. Like
Yeah.
that's really what I'm getting from Capricorn risings right now.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I really
Yeah,
like that. I go ahead.
and for Capricorn risings, Aries, Libra, the North Node shift is you're reconsidering what your home looks like. Maybe you're moving. Maybe you're like
Yes.
redecorating. Maybe you're in a new space, and
Oh my God. Yeah.
how your home life can result in your 10th house Libra, your work in the world feeling more aligned and just feeling like more of authentic and easy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. You just said everything that I have here.
I love
Um,
it.
creative pursuits bringing in money or reinstating a creative endeavor in a way that brings in more abundance than previously realized. That was the last I said for Venus retrograde for Capricorn risings. So
Love it.
North Node for Capricorn risings is in Aries in the fourth house, like Kate just said. So a sense of security is becoming more important now. Your sanctuary will become something that is more ingrained in your lifestyle from now until the 2025. Um, Going inward may feel more challenging to do now rather than living through your reputation in the outside world, but you will find more fulfillment accessing your inner world now and what makes your inner self feel more secure. So, I feel like with Capricorn risings, this might be a theme, but like maybe what is comfortable, and also the fact that Capricorn risings have Libra midheaven. But maybe what is comfortable with Capricorn risings is that they feel good in the outer world more and less comfortable in the inner world because it allows them to like maybe self actualize that way, ruling the first house. But I think there is this like harder North Node leaning that's encouraging Capricorn risings to like go inward to feel the same security that they feel out in the world or out doing the things that they like doing, like building and ideas and things that are long standing. And so, my last thing, more emphasis on establishing your neutral state of emotional security rather than your place in the outer world and what you're building for others. Literally what I just said. So,
That really resonates with me, just gotta say.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, last two, right?
Yes. Yeah. Aquarius Rising. This is happening. The Venus retrograde is happening in your seventh house. Um, Bold changes and considerations in relationships, whether it's in your significant other's life or your family's life. Changes can be subtle or bold and reestablishes the sense of someone's core being, so values, outer world experiences, etc. Um, there may be a theme of balance here and faded experiences that make it seem like things are becoming out of balance, but in the long run will be exactly what is needed to retain balance. So I feel like for Aquarius risings, you're seeing what's happening right now and you're like, "Oh no, oh my God, things are getting out of balance," but like it's you can't see it, but like what's happening is helping the balance, and then after the retrograde, it's going to be more in balance. There's something that like has to be out of whack right now to then find an equilibrium. Huge transformations with the self and actualizing these transformations through outward changes. I say changes so much, or changes of others that ultimately reestablish a sense of peace and serenity. So I do feel like the self, it's the whole Aries Libra axis. It's like the self actualizing and actualizing in the world are at play here with Venus retrograde. Aquarius risings are experiencing the North Node shift in their third house, so into their third house. And with this, I saw your environment may experience more activity than usual. So, like changes, reformations, experiences that feel faded. So, leaning into the mental stimulations of life. So, thinking, reading, writing, conceptualizing, communicating, and finding these things will become more prevalent in your everyday. I'm seeing. So, like, maybe it's a practice you now take over, or it's like part of your ritual, your routines. This is something that probably will feel uncomfortable. Like, I just know being like, I feel like as a Gemini, I have a lot of Gemini placements, and like sometimes doing things like that, I feel already overwhelmed because I'm like, I could literally write from page one to the end of this notebook in like one sitting. And like, I'm just like, too much, too much, too much to do. But I feel like that could be really supportive right now. But what I say here is it's more about the study right now and doing the baseline research and less about establishing bigger ideas. So it's more like micro scale information stimulation versus larger scale. So a time of doing the work, so to speak, I feel like.
Wow. That's like exactly what
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
I also want to say, like, for Aquarius risings right now, practice versus theory. You're
Yeah.
leaning into practice. Like, you're
Yeah.
leaning so far into doing the work that you know will help you, and doing the work to stop intellectualizing so much about the practices and the things that you know will help you, and more of just doing it and letting it be part of your ritual. That's
Yes.
huge for Aquarius
Yes.
risings right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Huge. Yeah.
Okay. Pisces rising. So Venus retrograde in Leo is happening in your sixth house. And this one I had some questions. I answered with some questions. I said, how you show up for your own health, your processes of maintaining your health through routines, habits, and how you define what works for you is now being called into question. So, is there something you missed that would make this process so much more considerate of yourself and your needs? What is this? What can you implement now to make this better for you? I see this being like heavy, heavy on the rituals and the everyday routines, and calling them into question again to see if something can just work better for you, you know? The balance of yin with the yang theme of this house may feel like things are counteracting, almost like any Venus and Mars aspect. And I say that because there's the sixth house and then there's Venus, and Mars, I believe, is in its joy in the sixth house. So it is very supportive of yang energy. But Venus is here and she's actually going backwards now. So she wants you to be yin. She wants you to receive insight and just recalibrate what all of that is. There's a lesson here of balance with your health that may need more thought, boundaries, and even freedom. So whatever that is, you decide. This is a house ruled by Virgo, your descendant. So Venus being here doesn't feel the most strong and sense of influence. Venus is in her fall in Virgo. But there is a chance to become softer with the harsh realities of the sixth house. Rest. I say rest, rest, rest. I feel like Pisces risings need rest right now. And whatever that looks like for you, it doesn't really need to mean sleep, but it could just mean like chilling, calming the F down, so to speak. Okay, so North Node in Aries in the second house. This is happening for you, Pisces rising. Themes around establishing your values, your taste, your style, even your baseline sense of what you like and don't like can come to the forefront now for the next year and a half. So it's like like who are you? What makes you unique in sense of like Venusian themes? So like your aesthetic, your style, like what foods do you like? Why? Like things like that. Obviously those are obvious, but however that kind of resonates with you. Responsibilities around material things, how you utilize your belongings, and where you are investing your energy into may become a bigger theme now. The roots of where these material things come from may feel easier to access because we're right across from Scorpio, and Scorpio is about kind of where everything comes from, like from an emotional standpoint too. But it is the lesson of how you utilize these belongings, fortune, investments that is coming to a head. This is the focus. So, yeah. Do you have anything to say to that?
No, I love that. Pisces
Yeah.
risings are resting right now. That's like huge. Resting and recalibrating their daily work life also,
Yes.
and how you
Yeah.
show up.
Yes.
Awesome. So,
Cool.
yeah, so takeaway from Venus retrograde, which is happening July 22nd to September 3rd, and North Node shift until January 2025. Major
This is big.
takeaways. It's huge. Yeah, there's focus on relationships from now until 2025, but also like right now, mostly now until September 3rd. Like we're feeling this movement or this leaning into how we relate to others, whether it be platonic, intimate, our relationship with ourselves, our work. And it really is specific for you, but like we're leaning into independence and interdependence right now in a big way.
Yes. Yes. And there's like I find this very symbolic that these nodes are in Aries and Libra. Well, it's in Aries, so it's like Aries, It's like this also is the beginning. We're kind of at a new moon moment in terms of the nodes, right? Like we're now going on our second round. We're beginning the beginning of the beginning. So,
Yeah. And
yeah, this feels very new.
yeah. And something else, just one thing I'll say about the South Node, because we talk about the North Node a lot, but the South Node in Libra, wherever Libra is in your chart, you are releasing things, whether it be like if it's at the top of your chart, this is a generalization. If you've got Libra in this 7th to 12th house, I would say like you're releasing things into the world. If you've got Libra at the bottom of your chart, 1st to 6th house, the South Node is there, and you're releasing patterns, habits, maybe people in your life, or like things are being kicked up. That's what the South Node does. Is it like kicks up stuff from the past, or it's like you're letting go of things that you have been holding on to for a while, things that you've been creating, and you're releasing it. Yeah, the tail of the dragon. It like kicks up stuff, and then the North Node is the head of the dragon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I love that interpretation. It just feels so resonant.
Yeah, absolutely. My God.
Cool. So
Okay.
hopefully this was helpful. And please comment below where your North Node, South Node is, and
Yes, we
where
want to know.
Venus is in your chart. Yeah, we really want to know. We love y'all, and thanks for
Yeah.
listening.
Bye.